Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the pod. I got a special edition episode here with Johnny Jackson from Ridgewood High School, senior captain. And for those who don't know, we're going to get into a lot of his incredible inspirational story in this podcast. But just from an accolade standpoint, he just recently became, in the second game of the year, became the all-time leading scorer in Ridgewood High School history, well over 1,500 points and counting. Correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny, but you're averaging around 25 points a game this year, maybe a little bit more than that. And then obviously just two-time state championship winner, all county, all state, all league. So the accolades speak for themselves. He's been having a terrific start. But the reason I brought him on was primarily because he's been dealing with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. He's been going through a lot of chemo treatment for that and playing basketball at the same time. And it's been an incredible inspirational story, highlighted in ESPN, Jersey Sports Zone, ABC, Sports Illustrated, you name it. So, Johnny, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to do this and coming on the pod. Obviously, it's great to have another kid who's successful at Ridgewood, and your story is incredible. So, thanks
Thank
for
you
coming.
for having me. Thank you for having me, Mike.
100%. So, where I want to start this is just, you kind of grew up, obviously. Your dad has had an amazing impact on the Ridgewood basketball community, right? I played with him, played for his programs growing up. Can you talk about that, how that kind of developed your love and passion for the game and how your family kind of like helped you develop that love, or how that kind of grew based on just kind of being around your dad?
Yeah. I mean, someone asked me a kind of similar question the other day. I mean, there's a picture of me literally the day I was born. There was a basketball above my head in my cradle, and it's kind of just been like that ever since then. My dad will tell you himself, like he really doesn't care about anything else in life besides basketball. So just having him, kind of lead the way for me, it's almost like I've been stuck with it, but I've learned so much from him, and he's kind of made me the player I am today.
So can you talk then again about like how now your love has kind of just like crystallized for basketball? Because it's easy to say, okay, I got the ball put in my hand when I'm younger, but obviously you've been someone I can tell just loves the game. It's not just like, okay, I'm good and I'm just gonna keep doing it. But where has that love gotten you in terms of like now you've really enjoyed that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's gotten me all the way to this point, obviously, but going back to the cancer diagnosis and everything, when I was first diagnosed, like basketball was the first thought that came into my mind. Like, that's the thing I love to do. It's my passion in life. And I was kind of just so nervous about it that I wasn't be able to play. So my love for the game kind of just pushed me to fight on and off the court now. So it's kind of just brought me to where I am today.
So let's talk about that, right? Obviously, you've been on numerous interviews talking about the same thing, right? You get diagnosed, right? Which apparently you even had it before you kind of knew about this. You basically went to your allergist and they kind of found out that there was something wrong here. Can you talk about like from that standpoint? You've kind of talked numerous times about what it meant, obviously, but the big thing I've noticed from being around you is just kind of your positivity around it. Like you knew you were going to be you had to stay strong and positive through it. Like, where did that come from? Because obviously, when you get diagnosed with cancer, that's scary news, right? Obviously, your future's in the balance, everything like that. Can you talk about like how when you got the diagnosis, you knew you had to be positive, or like where that developed, I guess, because that's all I've seen from every interview and being around you at least.
Yeah, I would honestly think it starts with my parents. I just saw how absolutely freaked out and nervous and like how they just really didn't feel good about everything that's going on, which obviously makes sense. I mean, it's not something a parent wants to hear, but I kind of just knew I had to stay positive and I had to stay strong for them. And instead of them being the ones that kind of hold me up, I was kind of the ones holding them up in a way. So I've just been trying to do that throughout this whole process, trying to stay positive and just honestly inspire as many people as I can.
So you were obviously doing workouts through it when you obviously felt good. Like how did you know, like, in staying through it, like, okay, I need to, try and still get back on the court. Because again, you didn't know if you were going to be playing in January. You didn't know if you were going to be playing the start of the season. How did you know, like, okay, I need to keep working out? Because I mean, you had to feel exhausted. Like, what was that like kind of working out, going through post chemo treatments and all that different stuff?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot. Honestly, up until like maybe about the seventh or so treatment, like I was in bed for legit probably 5 days straight almost. Like literally, I was so nauseous I couldn't get out of bed. So obviously, I had a couple days to work out in between then. But I mean, I dealt with a lot of side effects working out. I just didn't feel right. I got skin rashes everywhere, and sometimes I really couldn't work out. But I knew if I wanted to make it back on the court, which I'm doing now, I had to keep my weight on, have to stay in shape. I got to do some sort of cardio. So I've just been trying my best to do that. And I think I did a pretty good job with it so far.
Definitely. But can you talk about like how you try and do that? Because if you're exhausted on constantly, I mean, obviously, like, chemo is a huge, just change in your life, right? Compared to what you're used to. Like, how were you able to stay motivated in that standpoint of like, okay, I know I'm going to be exhausted, but I got to push through this because that, like I said, that's just a huge change and a lot of things that you weren't used to, obviously, right when you got hit with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it could be, all the records I want to break. I want to get back to the state championship. I want to score this many points, whatever. Just kind of those things, and just getting back on the court. That's what pushed me through. I knew I was going to be exhausted going into it. I mean, people don't really understand. I didn't even understand. I was like, oh, this is going to be cancer. It's going to be tough. But like, it's brutal. It really is. But I mean, I just had so much to look forward to in my life. I just kind of had to keep pushing through no matter what.
So let's talk a little bit about the support you've got, right? Obviously from your parents, but something that really touched me outside just what your parents, because I would love to talk about your parents' support, obviously. What Charlie did during the season, shaving his head and wearing a headband with you, kind of in like solidarity on the court. I thought that was like an incredible, touching moment, just because I know you and him are obviously really close friends.
Yeah.
I've known each other for a while, but can you talk about like that, your parents' support, number one, your coach's support, and the team's support of going through this whole process of being with you in this? Because it's tough if you're going through this alone, but you've had a really good support system. Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, start off with my parents. Like I said, they were freaked out in the beginning, but I mean, they have shown me such tremendous support through all this. It's like, it's kind of like I'm almost sitting back and relaxed at times. They're taking care of me all day. I mean, they're my parents. That's what they do. But they've shown tremendous, tremendous support throughout all this. And then obviously the whole Ridgewood community, the second I get diagnosed, when it starts going around, there's t-shirts made, they're raising money for me, they're doing this. So obviously I knew they were by my side the whole time. Coach Troy te texts me right away, calls me. He's like, "We need to get food. We need to do this." He's been honestly great. We'll go out to lunch. All my coaches and my teammates, especially, like you said, Charlie. I mean, one of my good friends, but he was like right away, like, "Dude, I'm buzzing my hair off. We're rocking the headband this year. You're gonna be back on the court." I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." So my teammates, coaches, parents, everyone. I mean, I showed such great support to me. Means a lot.
Yeah, and then I think the one thing too is you go in your first game and you drop 30. I know obviously for you it's you care about obviously the team's success as well as your own, but that had to feel like amazing. Talk about that, especially against a great team like St. Joe's, a team that, talking to coach, like that was a team that he was a little bit obviously like this is going to be a great challenge. How did you, feel obviously like that? I'm assuming good, like, especially with everything you're going through, going out there, and at least so far your production this season, how you felt, kind of coming off, everything you've been through and being able to carry the same success or even more than you had last season.
I mean, yeah, it kind of just hit me all. Like after I was like being interviewed after the game, I was like, did this really just happen? Like obviously I didn't even expect to be on the court at this point, but to go out and drop 30 points after coming back while still battling cancer, and as you said, I thought it was going to be not a game like that. I didn't think we were going to be up 25-6, whatever it was to start the game. So just to do all of it, I mean, it kind of just felt like a little bit of stress was relieved for me. I was like, all right, this is good. This is going to be a good season. I think we're going to be good as a team. I think I'm going to have individual success, team success. I think it's just going to be a good year. So it just felt great.
From this season, what do you think has changed, like, at least from the standpoint of how you're used maybe on the court, compared, because I mean, you've been a guy that's got the ball in your hands a lot, especially your sophomore and junior year. And at least I've seen this year, it's kind of been a mixture of it. Do you see that change or do you see that, like, you just evolved as a player and that's been kind of the growth you've seen in your game? Like, what have you seen from a standpoint of your individual growth, that's so far allowed you to have success this season?
Yeah, so coach actually brought like the top six guys into the locker room and kind of like we're talking about this for this year. Kind of this year, obviously it's going to be a lot for me to even play in these games. So if I'm guarding their best like on the ball guy or the point guard or whatever, I'm going to have to use a lot of energy to do that. So kind of when I'm playing on offense, this is why Charlie is playing how many minutes he does. He plays the whole game. They kind of want Charlie to take over, bringing the point up, so I don't have to be as stressed on both ends. So I'm playing a little bit more off the ball, but still having the ball in my hand. So it's changed a little, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, and then can we talk a little bit, before I get into like maybe your growth as a leader and stuff like that, like, obviously breaking the scoring record, right? Second game of the year. Again, getting 1,500 points, getting 1,000 points, first of all, is very hard to do, but getting 1,500, how did that feel? Obviously, you may have liked to have that at a home game probably, but having that, that moment with you and your family and, like they stopped the game when that happened, especially in the first half. Like, how did that feel to like being able to say, look, all the work I got, I was able to be the all-time leading scorer, and it's going to be obviously counting from this point, but in Ridgewood basketball history.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly felt great. Like you said, I put in a lot of work into this game and it kind of just felt like it all paid off. But honestly, breaking it on an away game, it just didn't feel the same. But like kind of when I got back to the home game for the coach versus cancer game when they were, you know, introducing me before the game and talking about me or whatever, that was kind of the good feeling. It just felt like, everything kind of paid off.
And so, I mean, how did that obviously feel for your family, the coaches versus cancer game? Because I mean, obviously, I saw the ABC interview. Everyone in your family was interviewed. Obviously, like how did that feel? Just like the recognition of not just them supporting you for going through your journey, but the fact that you've made it to that point and you've experienced that success. Like how did that kind of culmination come to in that big game where you really were recognized for the journey you went through and your success?
I mean, yeah. I was shocked to see ABC News and all these outlets are coming to the games, but I mean, it felt good, kind of just to get my story out. I've been obviously going through so much in the past couple months, and now that I'm getting recognized for what I've been through, it's good. And also using it as an outlet to inspire other kids. I've been having kids Instagram message me like every day, "Yo, I have this cancer, you have this, I'm going through this." So like, you're inspiring me so much. So just to kind of get it out there as like an outlet, also to help kids as well as being recognized for what I've done. I mean, I think it's awesome.
So the one thing I want to obviously, bring off of that is like, you've obviously had to grow as a leader through this. And like, you've been, like I said, you've been exposed to different outlets where you've had to obviously talk about your story. Michael K show, just to notably, I mean, that's obviously going on that, talking about your journey in front of obviously guys who've been in the sports industry and had amazing stories in front of them. But also maybe your growth as a, leader with your teammates as well. Like, how do you think this process has helped your growth? Not just individually, because we've talked about that, but in terms of like your ability to lead others and be that inspiration for other people going through the same journey. How do you think this has kind of helped springboard that type of leadership and growth for you?
I mean, yeah, it's helped so much. Obviously, I got a decision at the beginning. It was kind of either fear cancer or not. I chose not to. So, I've just learned so much throughout the process. You go through so many tough times. You just kind of have to keep overcoming and keep overcoming. And that's kind of brought me to what I am today, leading my team in the games in whatever way I can. And it's kind of just this whole process has really just helped shape me as a person. I just feel like I'm so much more mentally stronger and more mature from this whole process. And I'm kind of trying to use that off the court while still dealing with the cancer and also on the court to just be kind of like a rock for my team and just kind of help them guide us through the season.
And then also, like I kind of had the idea, like obviously when I chose to stay at Ridgewood, like you want to kind of make it for your hometown and make it successful. What does it mean, obviously, for you? Like you've won two state championships, you're trying to win a third, you're trying to obviously go farther in the Group 4 state playoffs. What does it mean also for the standpoint of just the support of the basketball community, you trying to be successful? Like what does meaning like what does Ridgewood basketball mean to you, and what does it mean also to have this success in this story with this type of support from this community?
Oh, I mean, it means a ton. Obviously, I didn't know if I was going to go to Ridgewood High School first. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. But kind of Ridgewood, I mean, it's my hometown. It kind of just felt like I kind of had to go here. And obviously, even my first 3 years when I wasn't going through the cancer or whatever, and it was the culture, everything about it is just amazing. And now you kind of add this story onto it and just the tremendous support I receive from everyone. I mean, it really means so much to me, how much everyone has shown so much to me. So.
So my question for this is like kind of what do you want your message to be through the story? Because everyone's like, oh, like some people always look to the negative when it comes to cancer, right? Like, and obviously you've dealt with so much in the last, 6 months or so. But what do you want your message to people going through this to be? So like when you're continuing through the season, obviously, like, you can continue to spread that message. What do you think your message can be to, people going through this?
Yeah, kind of back to when you were talking about the negatives. I kind of think this was God's calling for me. You kind of have to bring a negative to a positive here. Obviously, you said cancer, it's not a great thing. No one wants to hear it. It's known as everything's bad from it, but I'm trying to just make it as positive as possible from it. As I said, I want to use that as an outlet to help inspire others. So my message is just never give up, keep pushing, and just know God's on your side always.
Absolutely. So my kind of last question here is kind of, moving away from the story a little bit is just, talk a little bit about just kind of your team success so far. At least you guys, like I said, coming off a state championship, you won your freshman year, you got there your sophomore year. Obviously, the goal is to get back there and win. But, you guys obviously got off to a good start. You've been playing, good competition. Can you just talk a little bit about just like, at least playing in North Jersey basketball, like, like the competition angle of that and then how that's been able to grow your game and you think your team's game as well, going against good competition every week, kind of throughout the season.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that some people don't realize, some people see Ridgewood basketball like, oh, it's a public school in Bergen County. They don't play anyone good. We have a pretty good schedule, I'd say. We play Hackensack every year, Teaneck, East Side. We play Bergen, we play Boston. We play good teams. So Yeah, like you said, playing these good teams, especially early on, just to get us ready for what we're gonna have to deal with in the state playoffs as we do when we get to those teams like East Orange, Elizabeth, all those other big schools. Um, it's just kind of just it's all part of the process and it's getting us ready. And playing basketball at this level, Group 4, I think it's definitely more challenging than you'd think. The teams are no joke.
Absolutely. And then kind of set it off. Where can people find you and get more about your story? If you want to like plug in your Instagram or anything that people should be following to follow your journey and follow your story.
Yeah, so my Instagram's underscore Johnny Buckets. I post a lot on there, but I also have been big into the Twitter game recently. I've kind of had some posts that kind of went viral a little bit. So my Twitter is John Jackson 2006. It's got a couple thousand followers now, so I've been trying to grow that as well for the college coaches and also just for everyone to see what I've been going through and all that. So those are
Awesome.
pretty two places you can find me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll plug those in the description as well. But Johnny, obviously, appreciate you, taking a few minutes to do this. Obviously, big fan of your journey. And obviously, wishing nothing but the best, and not just your team success, your individual success, but obviously your continued battle with this. So, thanks for doing this, and obviously, you're a big inspiration to a lot of people out there. So,
Thank
appreciate
you. I appreciate you having me, Mike.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. This is John Jackson. I'm Mike Schroeder. Another episode of the pod, and stay tuned for more and follow Johnny's story in the description below.